Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum to all our viewers. And ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, I think it's a very sad day for all of us over here in Pakistan and elsewhere because each and every one of us now know what actually happened. And it's an episode of sheer pain where a lot of people have lost their lives just off the coast of Greece, and a lot of people, not just men, women and children. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and with me, I'm lucky to have been joined by Ms. Hajar Sati, and it's a day of mourning, and Prime Minister Mia Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif Saab, on his instructions, ladies and gentlemen, he sympathizes with all of those families who've lost their loved ones, and it's an episode which nobody wanted. And certainly today we would like to figure out, what are those problems and issues with which so much of human trafficking has taken place. And not just that, I think in addition to that, we really need to look at those loopholes and those policies which needs to be in place in making sure that such a thing is not going to happen. But to kind of get to know how many people unfortunately have lost their lives, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by the spokesperson of Foreign Office, Ms. Mumtaz Zahra Baloch. Hello madam, assalamu alaikum.
Ji, walaikum salam.
Madam, first of all, thank you so much for your time. And because we are very unaware and there are different sources quoting different number of people, and so we would certainly like you to kind of share it with us that how many people unfortunately have lost their lives, how many were Pakistanis, how many were Iranians and Palestinians. Please, madam.
Thank you so much. Actually, the information that we have at this stage, confirmed information that we have indicates 12 survivors, because we have met them, we have identified them, and we have confirmed their nationality. So 12 individuals are alive. As far as those who are dead or missing, we do not have exact figures. And that is the unfortunate situation, because this ship, when it embarked from Libya, it did not have any proper manifest. So since there was no passenger manifest, it is very difficult to determine who was on board and who wasn't.
And truly, obviously, it's a difficult job. And unfortunately, when we speak of a boat capsized that just off the coast of Greece. But madam, what I would like to ask you over here is that, how many people in total were on board, and what kind of rescue operations have taken place, and what is the Foreign Ministry doing in making sure that all of those 12 who have survived are being looked after?
The fact is that at this stage, we have been able to contact individuals who are alive. We have also been in contact with the Greek authorities, and we are in a good shape as far as communication with the Greek authorities are concerned. The unfortunate situation is that we have been unable to identify the recovered bodies because it is not possible until and unless there is DNA sampling, which will take some time for us to identify the body.
And what measures are being undertaken to make sure that unfortunately there are no other people still looking for help to arrive, because unfortunately nobody knows the figures, and when we speak of it, only what we can say is that 10 to 12 Pakistanis have survived. And how do you think that those DNA matchups are going to take place? When do you think that, unfortunately, it's very sad to kind of speak of it on national television, but when do you think that the families can expect the bodies of their loved ones?
Again, as I said, this may take some time. It's a very unfortunate situation, and it is a grave tragedy. And this is a situation which is, of course, a tragic situation for the families who have lost their loved ones or who are not sure where their loved ones are. Our mission has opened 4 days a helpline on which families of those who are feared to be on the board have been calling and seeking information. And we will continue to communicate with them and try to get as much information so that we are able to authenticate that information with any information that comes through law enforcement and other means, so that we are very clear about who was on board and who wasn't.
Right, madam, and there are certain families who are still worried about the whereabouts of their loved ones. If they don't know they have survived or not, what sort of rescue the government of Pakistan has provided them? If there is any help desk, if you can provide us any number so that the families who want to reach out to their loved ones, they can contact that help desk and they can further ease their pain, because obviously losing a loved one is not an easy task.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, we have a helpline. The numbers have been circulated, and I will send it to you right after this telephone call so that you can also convey to your audience. And these numbers are available 24/7 for Pakistanis to reach.
Right.
If somebody is unable to pick the phone because they are busy on another line, please leave a message or a text so that they can be contacted for further facilitation.
Exactly. And one last question, madam, and that is that, so alhamdulillah, we do know that 10 to 12 Pakistanis have survived, and we do know for sure, and it's a fact that they were illegal migrants trying to move to Europe. Now, how do you think that the Foreign Office will actually provide them assistance and help in making sure that they're going to survive over there, whichever country, relevant country, and which country are they in? And what is the Embassy of Pakistan is doing in that country to make sure that they assist all of those Pakistanis who have survived, alhamdulillah?
Those who have survived are currently in Greece.
Okay.
And our embassy has met them and will facilitate the process going forward. At this stage, they are staying in Greece because there are a number of formalities that they will have to go through, including some investigation by local authorities to determine the origins of this boat and facts surrounding the individuals who are responsible for this operation. So it may take some time before they are able to return home.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Ms. Mumtaz Zahra Baloch Sahiba, for being with us. It was good to know that, alhamdulillah, that the Pakistani government is taking all stringent measures to make sure that all of those people who have survived, number one, that they can actually be assisted. Number two, that their bodies after their DNA matchups can be brought back to their families. And in addition to that, Haja, I think what I would want to kind of share over here with our audiences is that it's, to be very honest, I really need to thank our Premier, Prime Minister Mia Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif Saab for, taking such strict action where a four-member committee has actually been constituted, and they are supposed to give in a report within a week's time. And since it's a National Day of Mourning over here in Pakistan, on all the important buildings, the national flag will be at half-mast as well. And before we kind of move any further, we have a detailed report on this. So let's go take a good look at it. And once we're going to come back, there's another tragedy which has hit us as well, and we would like to kind of speak about it. Please go and take a look.
Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has announced the observance of a day of mourning today over the death of dozens of Pakistani nationals who lost their lives after a ship carrying migrants sank off the coast of Greece. The national flag will fly on half-mast and special prayers would be offered for the deceased. The Prime Minister has also constituted a high-level four-member committee to conduct an inquiry into the tragic incident. The committee will be headed by Director National Police Bureau Ehsan Sadiq. Mourning is also being observed in Azad Kashmir on official level in the wake of Greece boat tragedy. State flag of Azad Kashmir remained at half-mast. Additional Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs Javed Ahmed Umrani, DIG Azad Jammu and Kashmir Police Region Poonch Sardar Zahir Ahmed, and Joint Secretary Interior Division Faisal Nisar Chaudhary will be members of the committee. The inquiry committee would seek its report within 1 week. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has ordered relevant authorities to conduct inquiry into the deplorable boat capsizing incident in the Mediterranean Sea near Greece. He gave directions to law enforcement agencies to take immediate crackdown against agents involved in heinous crime of human trafficking and punish them severely. PMLN Senior Vice President and Chief Organizer Mariam Nawaz has expressed deep grief and sorrow over the death of Pakistanis due to boat capsizing in Greece. Mariam Nawaz expressed her heartfelt sympathies and condolences to the affected families. PMLN Chief Organizer welcomed the Prime Minister's decision to observe the mourning day today. Mariam Nawaz said human traffickers who play with human lives should be punished. Meanwhile, the Federal Investigation Agency has arrested the prime suspect of Greek boat incident, who is allegedly involved in smuggling people to Europe via Greece and Libya. The suspect, identified as Sajid Mahmood, was arrested from Karachi airport while he was trying to escape to Azerbaijan. The suspect was offloaded from plane after his name appeared on the FIA stop list. The FIA said Mahmood is resident of Mandi Bahauddin district and accused of smuggling youths to Europe via Greece and Libya. The federal agency said the same suspect was also allegedly involved in the boat that capsized in Libya in March. FIA Anti-Human Trafficking Circle Lahore has arrested agent Talha Shahzeb, resident of Sheikhupura, involved in sending one of the victims of the Greece boat incident. The accused extorted 35 lakh rupees from victim's family. Azad Jammu and Kashmir police has also arrested at least 10 local human smugglers in Kotli, involved in trafficking of over 50 persons. Azad Jammu and Kashmir police has also arrested at least 10 local human smugglers in Kotli, involved in trafficking of over 50 persons, who were killed in shipwreck in Greece. A case has been registered against the accused and further investigations are in progress. At least 27 persons from Kotli who got missing in the tragic incident have been identified so far.
Right, inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun to all of those who have lost their loved ones in the very vicious waters of the sea. And Shehzad, every year we see such kind of incidents taking place where, the innocent Pakistanis, they are devoured by these seas, and they are exploited at the hands of such human traffickers who make sure that they exploit them and they do a lot of extortion of the money from them, so that, and then they, it's very unfortunate how these human traffickers are feeding off from the misery of the people who, have to go to that such a miserable and turbulent waters. But in order to talk more about it, we are glad that we have been joined by two wonderful guests in the studio. We are very glad that we have been joined by Muhammad Arif Lagari Saab. He happens to be Director, Ministry of Human Rights. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Thank you so much.
Right, and joining him, we also have Hafiz Ehsan Ahmed Kokar Saab. He happens to be a lawyer. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for coming to our show.
So, sir, first of all, I would want to establish this because, in all my programs, I've really spoken well about, all my friends from Mandi Bahauddin, and I've seen this culture over there where how, from any household, there are at least 10 to 12 people who are working in Europe. And this is something which they take pride in. I've seen people who actually are living with a different passport name in a European country, and that too, there are people over here and there is this cult over here, and this is a menace which I would want to refer to, who kind of go brainwash those people that, okay, life in Europe is going to be really beautiful, even though that I've seen all of those people living, unfortunately, most of them, a miserable life over there. This culture has existed, I think, ever since I've been aware of my surroundings. I've seen that a lot of people have, taken this route to make sure that they're going to go abroad, make more money, send it back home and whatnot, and they take pride in it. Why do you think, first of all, this exists? And number one, what I would want you to answer is that, it was 10 hours later that there was help which actually reached out there, so there have been NGOs which have been reporting that there's this problem which has taken place. Why do you think it took them so long? And even, speaking of Geo Barents which went over there, they have been actually questioned by the Italian authorities as of now that they actually broke the rules, whatever existed.
Shahzad, first of all, I would express deep grief over this unfortunate incident. I think it is not only limited to just Pakistan. It's not tragedy for this country, but also tragedy for other nations as well, because boat was carrying other nationals as well. So in that context, which you are asking, that they were not rescued properly within the time because they were not legally perhaps entitled. So in this context, international law is very much clear. Human rights law is very much clear. Humanitarian law is very much clear. So these trafficked persons have the equal rights as the citizens of any country have.
Okay.
So I think it was the duty of that state to rescue these citizens. Secondly, international law is also providing that there would be no discrimination on the basis of sex, nationality or gender.
Right.
So in that context, whether they were Pakistanis or Iranians or they were of some other origin, so the landed destination, the country of landed destination was legally bound in the context of international law to help them out.
True.
One thing. Secondly, this is a misconception that we mingle the accused with the victims. So trafficked persons are the victims, not the accused.
True.
Right.
Even in accordance with international laws definition. Secondly, this is I would say a recent phenomena actually. The protocol was signed in 2000,
Right.
which defined the human trafficking itself,
Right.
what the trafficking in person is.
Right.
Before that, some states were vocal around 1990s. So I think still it would take time to clarify those definitions in the domestic laws.
Right, Kokar Saab, coming to you, so we have seen that there were, according to the reports, there were 750 men, according to United Nations Migration Agency on that board, and 440 migrants have been rescued so far, the reports are being said. And we've seen that such sort of calamities, boat sizing are happening very frequently, and people, especially the Europeans, they're very much aware. They have this aversion to not rescuing the people out there, right? So how does that bring the international humanitarian law out there? Because like sir mentioned that they are the victims, they are not the suspects, right, in the first place. And what does it say about the European Enlightenment Project, which focuses so much on the human rights, on the morality, on helping people out there, but yet they're not helping people out there in the first place?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much. And it is a very tragic day for Pakistanis,
Surely.
especially for those who are suffered due to this incident. And we have no words to express our stance for the families who are the victims and their loved ones. They have lost their lives.
True.
And this is a repeated state of affairs in the Mediterranean Sea, in a way that the journey started from Libya and then they went to the Greece and Italy, and every 3 months we are seeing that this incident is being happened and people lost their lives. So there is two aspects. One aspect is the international law and the international agencies, and in this particular case now there are NGOs, they are raising their voices. Then when they knew there was a boat and there was more than 750 people over there, why the Coast Guard of the Greece authorities did not rescue them, did not approach them and did not ask them to have any help.
Right.
So they stayed away, and intentionally when they stayed away and this was happened and all the people, the boat was sunk, and the people who were there, many Pakistanis, then the Egyptians, then there were the Syrians people over there. So this is the one aspect. The second aspect is in Pakistan, and in Pakistan is we have made the laws in pursuance of the international conventions 2000 and we ratified in 2010. But a lot has to be done over there, and if you see over there in this particular case this is the hub area is the Gujranwala division and the Azad Kashmir, and in this particular case all the people they belong to there, and 135 people from Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and many of them are from the Gujarat and some of them are from Karachi and Sheikhupura over there. So this is the area where the law enforcement agencies have to take the actions. I've been the Grievance Commissioner of Overseas Pakistan, and I knew the psyche and the problems over there, and we interacted with law enforcement agencies, especially the FIA over here. So what I have seen over there, the FIA is an overburdened organization in Pakistan. If you think any white collar crime or any law enforcement of the federal government over there, the FIA is there. So there is a capacity issue of the FIA. And the second is the prosecution in these. We have two laws. One is the Human Trafficking Act 2018, and then we have the Illegal Migrants Act 2018. So we have made the laws, but there are certain areas which needs to be improved by the prosecution side and especially the FIA. Now the Prime Minister has taken a very good step. He has made a committee of the 4 members, and I believe that all the members would come up with the strong recommendations and definitely would set up recommendations to establish an independent authority to look after these issues in Pakistan, the people who are involved there, because it is a very lucrative business inside and outside Pakistan. And the last year there are 32,000 victims who reported to FIA, and many of them they have not reported. And now in this particular case there is also another issue, is that the people who are victims of this crisis, they are not reporting to the FIA, and this is a statement of the FIA. Okay, they are not reporting, but they have taken the action against a certain people. So it is a good thing. but we need to have a certain measures through an independent authority by taking all the people who are in Pakistan to break the nexus of the international mafias and the people who are inside Pakistan.
Exactly. And sir, I think at this point of time, I would really like to applaud the role the law enforcement agencies or FIS played, because in no time they've made sure that they are going to, you know, curb the menace by kind of arresting all of those individuals who were involved in it. Unfortunately, I would want to kind of speak of it, later on, and that is that unfortunately it might be a few of the people within the system, you know, who certainly knew and were the ones who have been assisting, you know, all of those traffickers. I'll come back to that point. But since you have been the commissioner for, grievances as well yourself under the federal ombudsman, so what I would like to ask you is, what do you think is the future of all of those people who have been saved, who have survived? Because number one, they were illegal migrants. What do you think that the relevant governments are going to do with them? Do you think that they'll be sent back to their relative countries? Or do you think that, you know, under some sort of rule or law, they can be protected within whatever country they are?
Shahzad, there are two areas which the government of Pakistan has also signed an agreement with the Greece authorities, and international law is as well. When you reach over there, and then you have the rights under the laws, and the government of the concerned, the recipient country is responsible to protect the life and to feed them. And even sometimes if the identification is not cleared, then there are certain camps over there, the people who are there, and sometimes they because they go there for some labor's work over there. So the concerned government makes some arrangement for their employment over there, and there are certain examples over here. The people who are in Greece, they are living over there and they're doing the employment over there. So international law and human rights organization, they are very well speak about it, but simultaneously it is very important that the concerned authorities who are there and who have seen the boat is coming. It started from 9th of June from the Libya, and we have a best satellite system over there, and when they reached near they knew it. So definitely it is a 750 people, it's not a small, and we have seen the picture of the boat. You were saying there that it is overcrowded, and the people who are even in the deck of the port. So it is a basically responsibility internationally and on the human rights, the Greece authorities, they should protect them and take the action in accordance with law. If they find them some illegal migrants, they are there, they capture them, they arrest them, they take them in their custodies and take the action in accordance with law. The timely inaction by the Greece authority triggers the things, and now what is going on, the even the concerned NGOs who are dealing with the international illegal migrants, they are raising their voices against the authorities, why they did not take the action timely, and why they did not save them when they knew that the boat was there, it was coming from the Benghazi, Libya, it is overcrowded, and particularly in that situation when it is a routine that the people from Libya, they came to the Greece and then they went further to the Italy. So on the humanitarian side, on the international law side, despite they are the illegal migrants, but they are the victims of as well of all these situations.
And so the technology as such that, when we speak of, geo barons who actually went out there to save all of those people who have survived, so I just checked while I was on my way that I can still look at this location of geo barons. It's on my cell phone, so it's 5 minutes and it's updated. So obviously the authorities did knew, and unfortunately they probably were unable, or they thought of it that they're not going to help other people. I think that's more unfortunate.
And then there's just reluctance coming from especially all of these international bodies to act and make sure that such kind of tragedies doesn't happen before. So Lakari Saab, moving on to you, Khokar Saab mentioned and alluded to a very important point, that is about that this is a very lucrative business. Human trafficking involves lots of money, and the human traffickers, they are profiting off from that illegal money, and obviously they are feeding off the misery of lot of innocent people out there who are shown the mirage of happiness if they cross the boats and whatnot, right? And it is happening around the world, and we've seen that there are hotspots where these are recruited illegally. So how can we break this nexus, especially in this Pakistan, and make sure that this menacing nexus of the money which is involved in it, that is punished very severely, so people do not have the capacity in order to do this illegal business again?
First, to counter this menace, I would prefer the identification of problem.
Right.
there are two distinct and differentiable phenomena. One is called the migrant smuggling. That is something else
Okay.
in the terms of international law, and they have different rights.
Okay.
And they the people involved in migrant smugglings, they have different punishments.
Right.
The traffickers have different punishments and different scenarios. So, definition of traffickers involves exploitation, benefits, forced labor, sex business,
Okay.
and it is a broader definition.
That's true.
Whereas the business of migrant smuggling, that is also illegal, but over there just profit element is involved.
True.
To some extent exploitation is there, but their duty is to move the migrants from one border to other border, across the border. Here in the case of trafficking, derogatory treatment is involved, exploitation is involved, extortion of money is involved. So, first of all we have to identify whether even this particular incident was of migrant smuggling
Right.
or of trafficking.
Okay.
If it was of trafficking, then it is a heinous crime.
Right.
Now, secondly we come, okay, why this happens. You know, in every law, even in Constitution of Pakistan and laws thereunder, there are certain duties as well.
Right.
So, rights are subject to duties.
Right.
So, it is duty of the state to sensitize the people.
Right.
It's duty of the relevant agencies or authorities to prevent these crimes not only through interdiction, but also through sensitization and awareness and advocacy.
Right.
And I feel pride that Ministry of Human Rights has a component or commission that is called National Commission on Status of Women.
Wonderful.
They have in the past launched various campaigns to sensitize the people regarding the horrible consequences of trafficking,
Right.
especially the trafficking of women and children.
Right.
Because there is much exploitation in those two segments of the society. So, I think advocacy is much needed,
Right.
then identification of problem is much needed,
Right.
then interdiction and prevention is much needed
Right.
to stop this heinous crime.
Right. So, Kokar Saab, coming to you, so Arif Saab pointed to a very important debate which has been going on, especially in the Europe for quite some time, and we have seen that debate have been revived, especially in the time of the Syrian crisis, debate amongst the refugees versus the migrant rights, right? So, how do we establish, I mean, the people who capsized in the boat, were they refugees or were they migrants in the first place? And what is the differentiation between their rights and responsibilities, and how does the international law protects them? Because obviously after that debate there has been some mechanism developed in order to protect the vulnerable people who often are devoured by the very turbulent waters of the Mediterranean Sea.
Exactly, and sir, in addition to that, because while I was researching on it, you know, I came across a few videos which were posted by individuals on social media, so it certainly did not look like as if it was human trafficking. It certainly looked like as if it was people hoping to have a better future somewhere outside Pakistan or Palestine or Afghanistan or Iran.
Right.
So, you know, I think what if we are to refer to it as human trafficking, you know, what does the international law say? And if we are to refer to it illegal immigration, how does the law act on it?
Shehzad, this case is especially, it is the not the human trafficking, it is the illegal migrants. So, this is one thing is clear. So, there are two another areas. Another area is the international law. There are certain rights for the illegal migrants, and the right is the first is to protect the lives of the illegal migrants. If I mean, this is not the first time. There are certain incidents as well, and the Mediterranean and the Libyans, the route is a traditional route for the people who are live in Asia, and when they like to go to the Europe, this is the route. From sometimes they fly from different ports of airports of Pakistan, sometimes they go to Balochistan, then Iran, and then they carry on in the Libya, and sometimes there is another issue because there is no such visa restrictions in Libya, and the people go there, and then it is the hub of the place where the people of different countries they get together, and you can imagine if there is 2 million per person involved over here, and now we have 750 people who are over there. So how much money involved over there?
True.
Then there are certain organizations who are working out there, and then there are certain international laws as well over there. So the first is to protect the life. The second is to save if I mean they are sinking in the water. So this is no issue. This is the life of a human being.
Yeah.
So this is the most important thing, and ultimately the responsibility lies with all the law enforcement agencies who are patrolling over there. When they see there are certain human beings, they are coming to their country. If they come to their country and enter into their country, there are certain laws, even in Pakistan. If someone is illegally entering in Pakistan, there is a foreign acts involved with, there are the certain process.
True.
You can go there. But while they were traveling and while they are in the Mediterranean Sea, and it is one of the largest sea in terms of the depth, and you are just I mean closing your eyes and you are not helping those people. So that's why the certain NGOs, they are working on it, and they're starting protesting against the attitude of the law enforcement agencies. The second is in the inside country. The government of Pakistan and especially the people who law enforcement agencies, they should make the public awareness on this point. There are laws, I am talking about the two laws. There is a punishment from 3 years to 14 years if there is a aggravating offences, human trafficking and the illegal migrants. But the people must be aware of that. Now there is no issue at all. The people, I mean the governments in Europe, they need people over there, because there is a certain issues, because they are not I mean like we have the human resource in Pakistan. There is a crisis over there.
True.
So and some countries have also approached to Pakistan, like Japan, like the many people we are sending in South Korea. Kuwait has also demanding it. Saudi Arabia is as well there, and then the Austria has also requested to the government of Pakistan. The Russia is as well over there. So the concerned authorities, especially the overseas ministries in Pakistan, they should identify the areas where the people of Pakistan can be accommodated. Go over there and train those people over there.
Exactly.
I have seen a recent example over there. We are sending more than 6,500 doctors and nurses in Kuwait.
True.
And if you look at the amount in the terms of salary they will receive over there, it is much higher than the people who are going over there just as a labor over there.
Exactly.
So instead of all the people you are saying, then most of them might be they are uneducated, might be they did not have any qualification in terms of the technical side.
True.
But we should work on it, and if we work on the technical side, we trained our people and then ask them. And even Shehzad, in Pakistan, we have a lot of opportunities in Pakistan over there. If you go over there, ask somewhere, we don't find any good plumber over there. If you go over there, we don't find any professional relating to the construction over there. So you leave your families are there. There is, I mean, multiple scopes in Pakistan over there. Yes, if you want to go over there, go a legal route.
True.
And in that, the role of the government of Pakistan, especially the Ministry of Overseas and the law enforcement agencies, are very important. And they should train the people, they should ask the people, and then send to overseas Pakistan. They would be legal, they will earn more money as compared to the illegal migrants while living in the Greece or the Italy.
And thank you so much, sir, for saying that, because I believe, Haja, that everybody needs to understand this. You know, for example, if we are to speak of Saudi Arabia, there are 2.8 million people who have legally went over there. They made sure that they are going to earn enough resource which they can send back home. You talk about Dubai, there's more than 1 million people out there. You know, so in total, if we are to speak about Pakistani diaspora who's actually living abroad, ladies and gentlemen, there are more than 15 million people all over the world, I believe.
It's more than 10 million.
Yeah, that's what I said, 15 million people. So it's somewhat around 15 million people all over the globe who have actually went there legally.
Right.
And in addition to that, you know, before we head out towards the break, I would want to say it in Urdu as well. You know, जितने भी लोग हैं जिनको लगता है कि आपके बच्चे अगर यूरोपियन कंट्रीज़ में या दूसरे ममालिक में इलीगली जाएंगे और वो मेहनत करेंगे, पैसे कमाएंगे, आप उनको भेज देते हैं, वो भी इस जिम्मेदारी के साथ चले जाते हैं कि शायद हमें वापस घर वालों का सहारा बनना है। लेकिन आप एक दफ़ा सिर्फ अगर आपको मौका मिला, यूट्यूब के ऊपर डंकी से रिलेटेड बहुत सारी वीडियोस मौजूद हैं जिसमें लड़कों ने ये बताया कि हम अपनी जान के ऊपर खेल कर उन मुल्कों तक पहुँचे और कुछ वापस आ गए, जिसमें यहाँ से वो बलूचिस्तान जाते हैं, बलूचिस्तान से ईरान जाते हैं, वहाँ से तुर्की जाते हैं। बर्फीले चटीले पहाड़ होते हैं जिसके अंदर 3-3 4-4 दिन भूखे पैदल चलना फिरना पड़ता है, कहीं रुकने का कोई ठिकाना नहीं होता।
inhuman
That's
attitude
true.
by these
That's true.
smugglers.
Exactly.
And that is why-
Or Hajra, इसी के साथ में, there's one more thing which I would want to
Sure.
mention over here, and that is that, if somebody can spend 2 million rupees, I think with 2 million rupees you can have a handsome business
Yes.
over here in the country as well, and it can grow. So, for people to kind of have this awareness, what we need to do is that we need to come up with these programs where we make people more aware that, hey, you know what, there's so many opportunities over here within the country, and in Pakistan people have done it before and they will still do it. But unfortunately, this very mindset, Hajra, within, the Punjabi region and the Kashmiri region of Pakistan.
Especially Gujranwala and Mirpur
Sir,
side.
Gujranwala, Mandi Bahawaldeen, Gujarat,
Yeah.
this entire belt, they think that it's an honor for them to have 10
Yes.
to 12 people working in Europe and sending them back money, and then they construct homes which they do not need.
Even Shahzad, initially they have a very miserable life over there. I mean, it is a substandard life over there.
That's
They are
true.
not being paid in accordance
10
with the
people,
minimum labor side.
sir, imagine that 10 people are living in one room,
room,
and that too on
yeah.
shift basis. So,
Yeah.
if they are to work for 8 hours, they go for 8 hours. Other people come in
Yeah.
to sleep in their spots. But with that, we have to head out towards a short break. Once you guys will come back, we'll continue the conversation where we really need to address the loopholes. Because unfortunately, I think that, there might be people within the system who really have been kind of ignoring that, okay, there are a lot of people who've been involved in illegal trafficking or probably illegal migration. And how do you think that we can curb this menace, number one? And there's another unfortunate incident which has taken place. And when we speak of this mourning, that on 19 today, the entire Pakistan mourns, it's not just for Pakistanis, it's for all of those people who have lost their lives. And there's this sad incident which has taken place on motorway. I would want to address to that issue as well. After a short break, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Welcome back, and before going on to the break, Shahzad was alluding to a very important point, which is about how we need to develop mechanisms which involves the global cooperation, because the human traffickers, they're not just in Pakistan, they're around the world everywhere, and especially in the important posts, and making sure that they are earning a lot of money.
And
from
in
that.
developing countries.
That's true, and in developed countries too, right? So I went to Turkey and I saw people were talking about how they were human traffickers there, who were bringing the migrants or the refugees off from the Central Asian states, from the South Asian countries, and from the Arab countries, which were a bit unstable at the moment, and making sure that they have the route to go towards the Europe. And in the matter of doing so, they are doing all of this illegally. And when we talk about illegality of that domain, so obviously the rights and responsibilities are not endowed upon them, right? So they are living in a very miserable conditions, and I think they can do much better in their own countries if they make those journeys in a more legal domain. So in order to talk about the evolving cooperation, especially the international cooperation, and what is the role of the Interpol in the first place, and how can we tackle this menace, because obviously it's a global problem and it requires a global issue. So moving on to Kokar Saab, when we talk about the global cooperation, is there any mechanism in the place in first place? How is the Interpol tackling it, and what are the loopholes in that mechanism which exists that can be improved upon?
Sadia, the United Nations has declared it is a transitional offense.
Okay.
So it means this means that it is not an offense, or it is not a crime for one country.
Right.
It is a crime if it happens in Pakistan, it carries from the Libya and then carry on the Greece or the Italy. So it is an international crime, and there are certain institutions and organizations that are working. One you have pointed out is the Interpol,
Yes.
and then there is umbrella under the United Nations. They have made the organization, and they are cooperating and they are sharing the information. And if you see a person who is arrested at the Karachi airport, he is just not, I mean,
Sajid
in a
Mahmood,
way,
yes.
Sajid Mahmood. He was at the stop list of the FIA. So when you have a name in the stop list, the FIA has a right to check, and they check it, and the man is there. So there is certain mechanism available in Pakistan and outside, but the most important thing is the implementation side. We have the weak implementation side, and we need to work on a mechanism. And I earlier pointed out, we
And sir, the rats within the system, I think I would want you to talk about
definitely.
that.
The people who are over there, and the people
Just
who
hungry
are
for
outside,
money.
yeah, hungry for the money and the sharing. And I will say just 369 people, they are being reported by these organizations. You are talking about more than 32,000. They are the victims of the illegal migrants in Pakistan last year, just last year over there. So I earlier pointed out, for making a legal framework in Pakistan, though we have the laws needs to be more strict. We should give an exemplary punishment to these through a proper prosecution, and then we should establish an independent authority in Pakistan to deal with menace in Pakistan.
Right.
Either it is the illegal human trafficking, especially for the children and women and the people who are involved over there, and then there is for the illegal migrants over there. There should be a time bound trial in Pakistan. If a person who is found and who is involved over there, the trial should be concluded within 6 months, and he should be given an example, not the person.
And what punishment are they subjected to?
There are third, if at the first time it is a 3 to 5 years, and then if there is aggravating, then there is a punishment up to go to the 14 years in Pakistan in both laws, the human trafficking and the illegal migrant. But the most important thing, how many we have convicted and what are their status, this is the most important thing. So rule of law, implementation of law, proper prosecution, the capacity building of the authorities, and to take action against all those people who are working within the organization and they have closed their eyes despite the fact they know who is the man who is doing over there, because it's not the business in here.
True.
It is a
Everywhere.
business in the ground. The people knew, because this is a racket, and especially the law enforcement agencies, they knew it. The people who are there, they knew it. Okay, who is the man? Who is the man over here? Who is the man in Libya? Who is the man in Greece? Who is the man in Italy? So it is a known fact. So if you have a known fact, then it is a responsibility of the law enforcement agencies that took action against them, make them exemplary punishment through proper prosecution, so no one dare to have a business over in Pakistan.
And so this particularly can be the reason that, because within every country, wherever these illegal migrants were going, there were people involved, and there were people from within the system, which might be the most particular reason of them not sending help, so that they are not the ones who've been. And by sorry sir, but I'll come back to this as well. We really need to share the number of people, unfortunately, who've lost their lives as well. And
these are the helpline that the spokesperson mentioned about it. So these are the numbers you can contact it there in case for the families who are looking after their loved ones, and obviously it's not an easy task looking out for their loved one. It's a very painful process. So these numbers are flashing across your screens. These are the numbers of the Embassy of Pakistan, the emergency number, and then this is the number of the welfare system also. So in case you are looking after for the whereabouts of your loved ones, you can always note these numbers down, and you can contact it on that number. Which brings us to one important point, which is about the legality of all of those people who have illegally crossed it. There are a lot of innocent victims about it. And those innocent victims, obviously they are not aware of the situation, of the dire situation which they might fall into it, and they certainly fall into it when they cross the countries, when they cross the borders out there. So again, we will flash these numbers again and again. So all of those people who are looking for the loved ones out there and they need some sort of help, they can contact on these helplines. And we're going to showcase these helplines in the news bulletins again and again all across the day. So please make sure that you contact
and not
these
just
numbers.
that, if unfortunately you cannot reach out to these numbers, ladies and gentlemen, you can certainly call Pakistan Television, and we'll be happy to help and assist, for all of the individuals who are out there. And to that point which Haja was alluding to, there's one more thing which I believe is very important, imperative to ask, and that is, sir, that how do you think that the Ministry of Human Rights is going to work with the Foreign Office in making sure that for all of those people who have survived, who are safe now, that they've been assisted, they have been looked after, the relevant governments are going to look after them and kind of treat them nicely?
Shadad, before answering your question, I would again refer to the previous debate, as you people had mentioned that what should be done to stop this menace, and Khokhar Saab was referring that there should be exemplary punishment.
Right.
I would add further,
Sure.
punishment is not the only solution.
Okay.
We have to view all this in human rights perspective.
Okay.
In human rights perspective, all human beings are members of the human family.
True.
They are equally precious. When they are equally precious, it means the person living in Europe or person living in Africa or in Pakistan or in Iran, they have the same rights, same dignity,
Right.
right?
Sure.
So, I think the more we are going on punitive side, the more we are receiving the adverse effects.
Right.
True.
It should be a two-pronged strategy.
Right.
Alongside the punishments, we must focus on the welfare.
Okay.
We must focus on the ease of not only business visas, but also on the work visas.
Right.
So, world should deliberate on it.
Right.
They should come up with a solution,
That's
especially for the underdeveloped countries.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, the major reason is the lack of resources, or you may say to have a better fortune.
Or an
So it's-
individual's thought
yeah.
process of thinking that you know, they are lack of resources
And
probably over
in,
here.
in different areas of the world, we see that there are the humanitarian crises as well, like you have mentioned in
Right.
Syria.
Right.
So those are the forced migrations,
Right.
not the, you may say,
Exactly,
And
and I
refugees in
certainly
the first
agree.
place.
And I certainly agree to you, Lagari Saab. But since we're very short on time, and there's this one more thing which I would want to kind of bring attention of people, and it's really very imperative. First of all, a very unfortunate incident which took place on motorway just the day before yesterday. Take a look first. I'm very sorry, and you know, I would want to advise that you know, children, if they are around you, they shouldn't actually look at it. For all of those elderly people, I would want you to kind of look at it. And then there's this message which I want to give away. Please go ahead and take a look. So this is, you know, one of the buses which weren't really fit to be on motorway, taking a lot of passengers, riding very fast. And this is actually the Salt Ranges a place of the motorway where there are sharp turns, and you know, the speed limit for HTV, I believe, is from 40 to 60. And so we have seen that, you know, how fast the bus was coming. Now the message which I wanted to give to people was that, you know, just very recently I have traveled to Lahore, and that too, and I would want to name the company, and it was Faisal Movers. Or I've on several occasions I've gone from Daewoo bus myself, you know, to Lahore, and these are the companies which actually maintain their buses. They make sure that, you know, that there's this certain time and certain speed limit which a driver is going to follow. So Faisal Mover only charges 1,000 or 1,200 rupees for you to commute from Islamabad to Lahore, which any other bus is actually charging at the same time.
Right.
I think the sole responsibility is of the people to kind of go ahead, tell the driver that you're riding fast. And I have seen that a lot of people do not do that, just, you know, making sure that they're going to reach to their destination that too faster and quicker. And look at what cost, you know, so many
Right.
people have lost their lives, you know, more than 10 to 15 people have lost their lives, 30 of them are injured, and the bus was said to be not fit to be on the road. Why can't
Yes.
people see with their own eyes and decide? Because this is an adversity, this is an accident which we could have avoided by just being vigilant.
That's true. That's true. And according to the latest reports, there were 13 deaths and 30 injuries. And with the coming time, I think the injuries are expected to rise. But this brings us to a very important point. That is about how we drive and how we need to behave, especially when we are on the roads, and what is our commuting behavior, right? And so moving on to Lagari Saab, so we've seen this horrific incident taking place. And we've also seen that, don't you think that it's time that we need to be more vigilant perhaps about issuing the driving licenses? Because a lot of time people who are having these heavy lorries or vans, they're not very much vigilant about how they should drive in the first place, right? So what is your perspective on that?
And
Yes,
most
sir.
of the time, these are the people who are running away from law anyways.
Yes, and they don't have the license in the first place.
Yeah, I think the transporters should be bound to abide by all the traffic rules and laws and
Yes.
requirements, especially the medical fitness,
Yes.
as well as you are referring the
fitness
driving
of the car
licenses.
or the bus or the
And
lorry.
the
yes.
second important thing, which is very much lacking in Pakistani society and especially in the transport sector, that is insurance of passengers.
Yes.
True.
We have ignored this.
Yes.
So I think the companies should be bound. There are authorities in every district. We have regional transport authorities across the Pakistan.
Right.
So there is a need to make them more vibrant, to make them human friendly, come up with human friendly policies,
Safety, yes.
safety, and
Yes.
especially focusing on the health of the vehicle as well as health of the driver.
And sir, thank you so much for saying that, because you know, internationally, ladies and gentlemen, if you're traveling by a bus, by a plane, you are most of the times insured. And
Yes.
unfortunately, if you are in such an accident, imagine that somebody who cannot afford to pay 2,000, 3,000 rupees for a bus service, which actually makes sure that they're going to hold up their all of those SOPs which are in place. Imagine how can they actually, give the bills of the medical, So whatever, God forbid, they're going to take. But Khokas Sahab, towards the end, very quickly, we're very short on time. Whatever your message is, please give it to the
Shazad,
audience.
this is a black spot area on motorway. It is a color kahar area, and we have seen the tragic incidents since the motorway was inaugurated by the government, and they started working on. Many steps were being taken by the motorway police over there. They reduce the speed over there. They have checked. Even they have made the check post over there. I mean, you as a driver or a bus, you have some documents over there, and then they count over there when you cross the salt range. But the most important thing is that before entering into a motorway, there should be a mechanism over there regarding the driver, the fitness, the bus. And this, unfortunately, bus goes from Islamabad to Jhang. And you have seen over there how is going on, and the people who are over there, they are reporting that even the bus conditions was not good. But if you have not a good condition, your driver is not good, and ultimately it is self-alarming. And we have seen this incident, so all the responsibilities lies first on the motor transport, and then on the authorities. They should take more care on
exactly. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, for all of those people who've lost their life in this sad and tragic incident of the boat capsizing of the coast of Greece, and people who've lost their life in such accidents. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand with you, and we hope to share this pain with you. We pray for all of those departed souls, and for all of those who have been injured. We pray for your recovery, and throughout the day, ladies and gentlemen, all of those numbers which have been given out will be in our news bulletins as well. We have tried to make sure that we reach out to them, and God forbid, if you cannot reach out to them, just call on any Pakistan Television's number, and we'll make sure that we give you that relevant information.
So until next time, it's a goodbye. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.